I tried 5 different side hustles to see if I could make money outside my very corporate 9-to-5 job. For reference, right now I'm working full-time at Intel as a tool architect in their construction department, which is a great job, don't get me wrong, but in this economy, we all need a little side hustle action. So about 4 years ago, when I was making around $76,000 as an engineer at another company and barely affording my student loans and car payment, I decided to jump on the trend of trying different side hustles to see if I could make more money. Because, well, becoming a mechanical engineer was not really the millionaire fast lane that I assumed it would be. So in this video, I want to break down exactly how much money I made from each of these side hustles, including this year, and then rank each one depending on how much money I made and how easy it was to make that money. So let's jump into it. Okay, side hustle number 1, which is one of the first side hustles I actually tried, and that is software training. I found this idea from the book 100 Side Hustles when I was reading about a guy making $3,500 a month doing Excel trainings. I tried both online and in-person software training, and let me tell you, one of them is a lot better than the other. So let's start with online training. I ended up creating a course on Skillshare on how to use the software called Bluebeam Review, which is heavily used in the construction industry. Now, not gonna lie, this was kind of a little bit of a disappointment because I only made $225 in 2022. $348 in 2023, $350 in 2024, and I should make around $300 this year. 138 of that I've already actually collected. You can see this wasn't the promised land of side hustles, so I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 because I think you need a pre-existing audience, a super nice production set, and also because of the sheer amount of time you have to put into it to actually create an online course, post it, filming, editing, all that. But I actually ended up making a lot more money when I started doing the trainings in person, so let's take a look. In 2022 and 2023, I hadn't thought of doing these trainings in person, so they're both at $0. Then in 2024, I started doing a couple trainings a year and ended up making $10,720. And this year, I'm planning on making $9,800. 5,000 of that I've already made so far. I give this a 4 out of 5 because it is a good way to make some extra money on the side. The only downside is you have to network a lot to land some of these jobs, and then you also have to be a decently good speaker and take a little bit of personal vacation time to do these trainings during the work week. Now, one thing I do include in my software training packages and even upcharge for is a link to all the step-by-step guides on everything I taught in that training, which I build using a software called Scribe, who I actually reached out to and is sponsoring today's video. You don't have to take manual screenshots yourself anymore. You simply click a record button, run through your workflow by clicking through your tasks step by step, end the recording, and then it auto-generates a step-by-step guide that you can then send out to everyone. I like to wrap all my scribes up into a complete instruction manual. So here's an example of a Scribe page on how to manage a SharePoint site. You can see I have a lot of stuff written out, but I also have scribes that are embedded throughout here to show individual kind of workflows. So somebody could follow along step by step. So then once I'm done building this, I can just share it with them by copying this link and they have access to everything. And that totally avoids all this time of jumping on a call with them and running through it because they have a step-by-step guide. They did agree to do a limited amount of discounts for you guys. So you can use code LIZ20 to get 20% off a yearly plan. But if you have software commitment issues like me, then you can watch my whole video. I will link it below and up here in the description. And that's a video where I reviewed them way before I even partnered with them. Okay, now the next side hustle I actually tried was public speaking. Because a lot of the same companies that I was doing the in-person software trainings for were like, can you come in and do a productivity training or goal setting training and stuff like that. I hadn't actually done any of these public speaking events in 2022 and 2023, so those are both 0. And then in 2024, I made $850 presenting at a conference. And then this year in 2025, I made $1,000 presenting at a local construction company. I would actually give this a 1 out of 5 on the grading scale for side hustles because it is a lot more work than you originally think. I spent hours and hours and hours putting together slides, rehearsing it, and there isn't a huge payoff. On top of that, a lot of conferences expect you to speak for free. So I might get back into it if I become more well-known for a specific topic, but for now I'm gonna hold off on a lot of the public speaking because the next side hustle actually made a lot more money. Now this side hustle is one of the better ones and it's consulting or freelancing, but specifically in your area of expertise. So for me, that is software. I usually take on migration projects, which is like a fancy word of basically migrating somebody off of one business account, like a Google account, onto another business account, like a Microsoft account. And this is really popular in the construction industry because a lot of people use Microsoft products. I will say this is a very technical, painful work because it involves a lot of technical details, like migrating thousands of emails off of one server to another, untangling the entire business suite of the company, and reconfiguring a ton of computers. But it does generate a lot of my side hustle income. I started doing this type of work in 2023 and made $17,180. I got a little burned out, so the next year in 2024, I only made $6,815 because I took on a little less projects. And this year in 2025, I just wrapped up my last project, which brought in $7,400. I would give this a 4 out of 5 rating because there is good money in solving problems for other businesses. And it doesn't feel like a huge lift, especially if you use some of the skills that you use in your day job, but as a side hustle. I highly recommend when you first get started to bring in one of your good friends. I almost do every single project with my friend Max, and it is 100% worth it because it is nice to have somebody in the trenches with you when you're a little outside your comfort zone. And now on to side hustle number 4, which I really started because my other side hustles, the previous ones, are not as scalable, so I wanted something that could maybe scale a little bit better. So I decided to start a YouTube channel and try to make money through ad revenue. And ad revenue is really when YouTube pays you to run ads on top of your pre-existing videos that you upload. I started the YouTube channel back in 2021 and I didn't make any money until 2023, and I ended up making $705 off of ad revenue. The next year in 2024, I made $2,148. And this year, since I'm starting to get more views, I think I'm gonna hit $4,000 in ad revenue. 2,065 of that I've already actually made. I give this a 4 out of 5 only if you love filming because it is so scalable. You can see the money's kind of doubling each year, even though I'm still putting in the same amount of effort because your videos could have tons and tons of views. The big downside is it takes years and years of posting free material and all the upfront work before you get any payout. I think of this more as an investment as I do the other side hustles because the previous ones you could make money a little bit quicker than this one, but this one will pay off in the long run. The last side hustle is kind of building on this YouTube business, or if you have a large following, and that is adding sponsors and affiliates. A sponsorship can kind of come in any form, but it's when a company pays you kind of an upfront payment in exchange for you to talk about their product on your channel or your platform. In 2022, I hadn't actually grown the channel big enough to even land any sponsorships, so I made $0. Then in 2023, I made $1,350. And then in 2024, I made $750. And finally, this year, I think I'll make around $3,500, and 1,000 of that I've already made so far. Now you'll notice I don't make a ton of money off of sponsorships because I just don't take on that many because I only want to promote products I actually use, and I'm pretty strict on that because I don't rely on YouTube's income to pay for my lifestyle. I have a full-time job. So I only do 1 or 2, maybe even 3 sponsorships a year, if that. I give this a 3 out of 5 because you kind of have to have a large following to even land good sponsorship deals, but it is also a good way to monetize your YouTube channel or your platform even more. But I think some of the other side hustles are better. And finally, we have affiliate marketing, which is getting commission for selling a product because you contributed to the sale. Very similar to sponsorships, I don't work with that many affiliate partners as well. My commission income really only comes from 3 different products right now. The first one is SheCodes, which is a phenomenal coding bootcamp kind of workshop for women. I took all of their courses. I've spent thousands of dollars on their stuff, so I have no problem promoting their stuff. Ghost, which is a website hosting platform that I use to host my website and my newsletter on. And finally, Scribe, which makes great workflow documentation. I'm one of their top users. I literally use this product every day. This is gonna sound kind of insane, but I actually got really lucky with one of my affiliates, SheCodes, and I actually brought in $10,882 in 2022. Then $19,799 in 2023. $6,548 in 2024, and I think I'll make around $7,200 in 2025. $5,875 of that I've actually already collected. Now, as I mentioned, SheCodes makes up the lion's share of this, and I just got really lucky because I became one of their first affiliates when they launched their affiliate program. So a lot of people ended up using my link. So this is not normal after I talk to a lot of creators, so I can't really rely on this income, and it's starting to tail off, as you can see. I give this a 3 out of 5 because it is so unpredictable. You could make next to nothing or thousands of dollars. So I really consider this more of an add-on because it is so unpredictable. I love sharing the products I use and I want to promote those products, but I also don't want to be like super crazy salesy just to have this create some income for me. Okay, so now for the totals. This includes all my side hustles. So in 2022, I made $11,107. In 2023, I made $39,382. And in 2024, I made $29,181. And this year, I think I'm gonna make $32,200 and $22,478 of that I've already collected so far this year. I think this is pretty good for trying to get some extra income outside my 9-to-5 job. But keep in mind, this is revenue. So this doesn't include all the expenses of running all the side hustles, like software subscriptions, hiring editors for the YouTube channel, stuff like that, which I can always break down for you guys in a separate video. So I hope this gave you a good, realistic idea of what it looks like to start up some side hustles with no pre-existing audience. And honestly, from ground zero when I was 25 years old back in 2022. I will link my full video on Scribe up here and in the description below if you want to check it out and start using it with your newly inspired side hustle ideas or your day job. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.